Um, I feel like, you know, those days where you just feel like it's all going to kind of go sideways and you can see it happening in slow motion, but there's not really a whole heck of a lot you can do about it. I'm referring to class, but it could be anything that we're practicing. It's just been a bit of a struggle this afternoon, and I'm looking over here to the side. To, oh my gosh, the dog is like wigging out. My puppy is was misbehaving, and I got terse, I guess we could say, with him about his behavior, and now he's sucking up to me because he's a cockapoo and he won't leave it alone. I've told him he's a good boy, but he won't. He's sucking around and hoping for more and more attention. So I apologize at the outset for the inevitable canine interruptions in our practice. What you're going to need for today, so I was just saying to people joining us live that you're going to want something, the short form for like what I think of this is target practice. So what I call target practice is what I use, not like target practice or target practice as yoga, right? But more that we can actually use this as a way of putting things down and then picking them back up. Okay, like it's so we're targeting, like we're saying I'm going to put it here, and then I'm going to bring it back. Okay, and really what I wanted to show at the outset in terms of this actually kind of demonstrates what I think is probably one of the most important principles of yoga, but of anything where you're training or you're trying to grow. So, and not that you have to be doing that, right? Like, no, I don't think just because you show up for yoga on a Monday afternoon doesn't mean like all of a sudden now I'm training. No, not at all. But like sometimes it's enough to relax, to just be, to not think about what does this mean in the grand scheme of things, right? But when we are practicing yoga more regularly, it is, or at least it can be, it certainly is for me, an interesting way of engaging the practice. As I lose my glasses here, to play with our edge. In other words, the idea here is, it's called you can call this a lot of different things. My yoga training it was introduced to me, the concept of the edge, capital E. So like you have the idea that you can come right up to the edge, and then when you go beyond it, you're into sort of like uncharted ground. I mean, this is like also related to the idea in terms of physical training of like progressive loading, like common sense would say. You don't say, oh, okay, I'm going to get strong, so I'm going to start with 1,000 push-ups right now. This is kind of reductive. You want to load up progressively, like you do 5, and then once that gets easy, you do 6, and then that gets easy, you do 7, and you go on like that. Or if you were, I personally am not much for lifting weights, but people that are doing that, they load their weight progressively so that they give their bodies and their minds a chance to adjust. This also goes for when we're dealing with target practice. So what I mean by this is you could take an object like this eye pillow or sandbag, and you'll notice if I kind of just toss it in front, it doesn't move, right? So if the goal of this exercise, if as I'm moving, is to be able to like drop something, say, with one hand and return, and then to be able to reach out, say, with the other hand and return, this is a good object, right? So you can be thinking about that in terms of what you're going to select out there. And if you're watching after the fact online, you can always pause the video and then come back. What I wanted to point out, though, is that this would be like a kind of a level 1. Like this is a fairly easy one in the sense that I do this, and it doesn't move anywhere. But what happens if I use my old go-to baseball, okay, and I do the same motion? Uh-oh. Now we've got two issues. One, thank you, Henry, is that it rolled way, way, way away. Come here, buddy. Come on. It rolled out of my reach. So that's not going to be an effective target, right? But if I was a bit more deliberate, I think that the point here is dog aside, and I see he's going to take it. It's going to roll a little bit. So here I can still reach it, but you can see I had to go a fair bit further than the sandbag. And then again, if the ball gets too easy, you go to a smaller ball. So now I've got like a little golf ball, right? And again, it's a smaller target, and you come back, okay? So just to start off, making sure that you've got a target for your target practice. Doesn't really matter what it is. Okay, you can decide how you're going to play with. Here's a third and final way I'll talk about this concept. So we talked about the edge, we talked about loading progressively, or you just think of it as your comfort zone. And comfort is good. Like I hope that no one's coming here to yoga thinking, awesome, it's time for my weekly discomfort. Okay, if that's the case, then we got to talk, because that's not the intent, or at least that's certainly not my intent. And if that's your intent, that's interesting. I'm not going to say that's wrong. That's just okay in terms of life's choices. Right on, I guess. My point is that comfort can be nice, but what we also want to do is sometimes is to be able to challenge ourselves, okay, and challenge ourselves as we move. Now, there's a whole big setup there. The other thing that you are going to need, set up for what we're doing, the other thing you're going to need is either a yoga strap or a towel, okay? And if you're somewhere where you're like, not only do I not have a yoga strap, I don't have a towel, that's okay. The moves that we're going to do, where you'd be using this for assistance, you can mimic it. Like, in other words, for instance, let's just say one of our moves was to take our towel or our strap up in front of us like this, and then work our shoulders up and let the strap slide down and come in behind us like that, okay, to open up the fronts of our chest and our shoulders. Let's say I don't have a strap, I don't have a towel. So then I come here, I come up, I'm using the power of my imagination a little bit, I come over. Is it going to be the same in terms of resistance and so on? No, it's not going to be, but who cares, okay? We can still practice. Last thing I will say, and then we can begin rolling. Actually, the last two things. One is, from the group out there, and bear in mind, you're going to have to speak up for this one because I'm now officially blind. I can't read much. I sometimes, just so you know, I see the chats come up during class. I always will try to snag them at the end, or I'll restate and say, hey, was there a question or a comment? But know that I just physically can't see them during the class. I keep asking the dog to transcribe, like to tell me what's going on, but he's not cooperating, so I don't know what you're gonna do. So yeah, that's one thing, is that if you have a request, and again, that's for our live participants, if you are here and there is something that you're achy with, or that you're curious about, so it could be a positive or a negative in that sense, if you're evaluating at home, some move that you would like to do. Like a few weeks ago, we had, I think it was Sue had asked for tree pose in particular. So if I've got stuff planned, obviously, but if there's something where you're like, oh, I hope that we do this today, I'm all yours. So anyone out there have any requests? Including the kiddies out there? Okay, not hearing anything, then we'll go with the program. I would say set program, but it's not set. I've just got kind of a general idea of where we're going today. We're going to be playing with some things that I've been playing with in my own practice, as we always do. Hello, Henry. You would like me to do cat and dog? Oh, well, I think that that's a great way. I'll tell you. What? Sorry, which one? Cat and cow and tree pose. Okay, and I'll tell you what. We're going to bring in, since you mentioned dogs, and we've got Henry the dog here. We'll do a dog pose too. We'll do begging dog. How's that? Is that who? You're welcome. Good. Okay. So our theme, and for our younger participants, they don't have to pick this up. In fact, no one has to, but here's the idea for today's practice. Okay. You could set this up as an intention for yourself, like in other words, to give yourself something to play with as we're moving. Okay. You may not need a play. So like it's enough of a practice and to follow your breath and just let it be whatever it's going to be. But I actually had something happen on the weekend, and I love it when this kind of thing happens. I was reading through my practice journal. So I have a journal of all of my meditation stuff and my yoga stuff. And there was a takeaway line, and I have no idea who wrote it. Well, I wrote it. I physically wrote it, but I don't know that the words are mine. They might be, but they also could be someone else, like wisdom I've picked up from someone else. And I'm going to share it with you today. The phrase that I had written down, okay, and I alluded to this in the email, is, are you resisting against, okay, in terms of movement or breath or thoughts or whatever, or are you flowing freely? So what you might think about, and I'll point this out a couple of times as we're moving, am I resisting against what's happening about my own experience? Or am I just flowing with it? Am I good and just whatever happens, happens? Okay? And again, point of becoming aware of that, should you choose to do that, is just to learn a little bit about your patterns, how you take on the world, how you live in your body, how it all kind of comes together. And what you choose to do with that information or not do with it is kind of up to you too. I think it's interesting. Anytime I get into a pattern, I like to switch it up a little bit just so things stay fresh and I don't get locked in. But there you go. Okay. And I think in general in yoga, my own practice over the years has been, and this speaks to the reason for that phrasing, has been one of resistance. I know that early in my practice, my teachers would always say, calm your breath down, relax, less effort, less. It was always less, surrender, just take it easy. And I always wanted to, give it more. So like that edge was there and I was pushing, which is good for all it's worth. But if all you do is push and there's no pull, that's not a balanced practice. If all you do is like chill out and there's no give, that's not a balanced practice. So if balance is what you're after, and that is kind of what part of the name of the game is here with yoga, then all right. Okay, let's, for our start, can you come to sit however you wish, of course, but notice that today I'm not in hero pose for a change, so I'm just cross-legged, and you might have something to put onto your bum just to raise your hips up a little bit higher than your knees, okay? So if you've got a yoga block or something like that, or a little bit of blanket, or you can just bunch up your mat, anything like that. And we're going to spend the first, literally just 1 minute here. 1 minute as timed by the imaginary clock in my head. So normally I kind of run you through almost like a little mental checklist of things that you can do to arrive. Today, none of that. It's a simple question. Are you resisting against your experience right now? Or are you flowing freely? So again, unless you are aiming to build tension, and there are good reasons to build tension at times, or stress in our bodies and in our minds, unless that's your objective, the play here is softening. Can you build in a little ease? Can you do less? Without being on autopilot, can you let your body just do its thing and let go of trying to control it? The simple act of sitting, especially sitting quietly, especially sitting stilly, can become, if you're really committed to not moving, or at least not moving beyond your breath, can become quite challenging pretty quickly. So do you embrace that challenge? Or do you relax into it? Allowing it to meet you rather than you pushing forward to meet it. And I'm going to bail out there before I get into yoga hippieisms. Okay. All right. So we had a couple of requests. Let's start with our cat and our cow. So we're gonna, if you had anything under your bum, we'll just remove that out of the way. And then we'll begin just from our seat here, okay? We're gonna bring our hands forward, okay? And allow your hands to drop down onto the mat, okay? Spread your fingers wide. Cup your hands so it doesn't feel like you're jamming them down like that, but rather you're pressing your bases of your fingers down, but not crunching your wrists, okay? And then begin to tiptoe the fingers forward. And as you do so, if you can see me, you'll see that I'm starting to come forward. So my weight is now off of my sitting bones as I continue to lean in. The muscles of the whole back line of my body getting long here. But I'm, rather than leaning like that, I'm trying to resist a little bit by keeping my bum as close to my heels as I can. And then I'm going to come to an end point. Okay? If you can you walk your fingers together? Good. And then we're going to spider them out. Out to the top of the mat, and then around and down the sides, and you'll be able to lean back up a little bit here. Okay, and then all the way behind. Now your hands can come just to the sides, and you can allow yourself to come up onto your fingertips. I'm on my fingertips. Or you can come right in behind. Bring your hands in together, interlace your fingers. Okay, and whether you're here or you're here, really, this has actually been a long way of getting to stretching here, the front of our necks, okay? So we're here, and then what I'm gonna ask you to do is to make your spine super long. So here's our entry into cat-cow, that's where we're coming to. So feel like from your hips right up to your head, we're getting long in the inhale through the sides of our body. Exhale, allow everything to drop a little bit, but don't lose that lift. Back in front of the body, inhale. Get a little bit bigger, a little bit longer, okay? Hands come behind. Good? Okay, and then shin comes up. Head tips back, and you'll hear it in my voice right there. Oh, and you can then work gently with the neck, okay? Always gently with the neck. Just one side and the other. One side and the other. Okay. Maybe go in reverse order. Just one side. Watching that the shoulders don't slip forward, so really bring them back. Chin up through the top. And jut the chin, like take your lower jaw up toward the ceiling. Feel that stretch. Right there. And down the other side. Nice. Okay. Good. Hands come forward, and then we're going to pop up. So there's, I also mentioned that we're going to play with some get-ups, different ways of getting up and down off the mat. Let's practice that slowly, deliberately. So you're cross-legged. Can you bring your hands in front? And then using the force of your lower body, can you lift and come up? Okay. And then scoot the hips back. Okay. Nice. From here, just a little waggle with the hips. One side and the other. And one side and the other. Good. Hips come square, shoulders one side and the other. And we can be linking our breath to this too, if that's not coming automatically. Inhale. Exhale. Now can we come back to neutral? And so here's where it gets a little silly, kids. We'll play with this. Can you bring your hips to the right? Okay, so jut your bum out to the side, and then bring your shoulders to the left. And then switch. And then switch. And then switch. I should really ask Henry to come into the frame here because this is one of his moves. Switch. You can see I'm even dropping into the shoulder a little bit and just really releasing this stuff all out. We can even, let's give ourselves, shift to our hips to the left or shoulder to the left, peek around to the right. Look for your right toes. And then bump it all out to the left, hips, shoulders, peek out to your left toe, or rather right toes, other left, and come on back. Okay, good. And then from here, we're going to move into our cat and our cow. So just taking a peek down, make sure that we've got knees under our hips, okay, shoulders above wrists, roughly, okay. And as I think I've shown in other weeks, again, none of these rules are written in stone. In fact, I don't know that they need to be written anywhere. So if it feels better to move your, one hand forward or the other or out or in order to create a bit more space, that's awesome. Okay, so we're gonna come to neutral, okay? If your pelvis is tilted down, so if you are here and you're feeling like you're already into that position, find neutral, okay? if it helps to actually put your hand on your low back and feel that little curve, okay? So there's the first part of our action. I'm really deconstructing our cat-cow today, okay? So what we're gonna do from neutral is take our pelvis and tip it forward, okay? That's the first part of our cow. And then from here, we're gonna tip our eyes, our chin, everything up, and let all of this drop down like the udder of a cow, okay? And just let that go. And then we're going to move in the opposite direction. We're going to, again, we tend to, most of us, to really feel the cat pose up high in our back. So let's start low. Let's start where it's harder to access. So if this was our cow with the big tilt, okay, you can see I've tipped my pelvis forward. Neutral, cat. Cat low back, okay? So cow, cat, cow, cat. And then if we really want to take our cat out for a walk, cats don't walk, do they? I don't think so. Okay. Then we can go up and up like that. On the inhale, exhale, down. Inhale, up. Exhale, down. Do a couple more passes. Inhaling up. Exhale down. And here's the first time I'll pop it in. So I notice myself really trying to move to my end range of motion. Why? Habit. So maybe I build in a little bit of ease. I don't worry about curling my back quite so much. Belly button hugs in. But maybe it doesn't have to hug all the way in. It's just a little bit. And down. Let's do one more here. Come up. Okay. And we'll let that go. Now, for our cat-cow, you notice that we're working really in a linear, like, so what we want to do is let's counteract that. So, you know, we had our young participants had asked for cat-cow today, so here's a new one, kids, you can do, and it's kind of like cat-cow, but instead of with cat-cow, we're going like this and like that. Instead, we're going to move in this direction. So what we're going to do, I'm going to turn away from you for a second, just so you can see my back, my best side. Okay. And then what we're going to do is we're going to start by spreading our shoulder blades apart. So the feeling here of the shoulder blades, rather than going in toward the spine, going out towards the side of the body. Okay. So it's almost like our cat, but it's not about bringing the center of the back up and away. It's about bringing the whole back out and around. Okay. And then retract your shoulder blades and bring them up toward your spine. Okay? So that's the little look. Sorry, I'm not taking my shirt off to show you from behind. Sorry if that's confusing with the shirt on. But what this will look like is, okay, a little drop in, shoulder blades come together, and then press out, shoulder blades spread. Let's do that 3 times. In and out. In. The in is both the movement and the breath. Out. Let's switch it around. So stay in the position here and inhale. Exhale. Shoulder blades come together. Does that change it up any? Inhale. Shoulder blades spread. And release. Okay. Last little movement here in this pattern. Actually, let's do our begging dog first. I said to the guys, so that might be a new pose for you, kiddos. So this is one, there's a way of talking about this in yoga, and it's a bit of for my buddies and I, we don't really like talking about the full expression of poses. Like somehow if we do a pose one way, it's one level of pose, and if you do it another way, it's somehow better. Every pose is equally valid, like it's awesome, right? But I will say that with begging dog, it helps to add sound. So the good news is you're all, well, I don't know, people are muted or not, but the only people in theory are going to hear this are you where you are. I'm telling you, take my word for this. It may feel silly, but it also feels good, okay? So what we're gonna do, it doesn't matter how you're sitting. I've just switched my legs up just, for kicks, okay? And bring your hands up, okay? Hands are there, elbows gonna drop to the sides, and really spread those fingers. So if we've got little decks of cards, make them big. And then as you inhale, hands go back, fingers go back. Okay. Exhale, curl the fingers in, wrap the thumbs, drop them down. Okay. That's the exhale. Inhale. Exhale. See if I can get that breath. Like free flow. Not so much pushing and resisting. Now, the trick here is, and I'm wondering if the guys out there, if you can help me, what sound is it again that a dog makes? Because we're supposed to be begging dog. I don't know if you guys have your mic on. Dogs bark, right? But this is begging dog, and at least well-behaved dogs. I'm not going to speak for my dog. He probably... there it is. I hear it. There's the bark. So here's what we're going to do, though, because like I say, my dogs, not so well-behaved. They bark all the time when they want something. But what we want to do is, and you're continuing to work your wrists here, is to bring in a little dog whine. So we're going to inhale, come up, and then like that. Inhale. The dog is actually, both dogs are in here and they are watching me. Okay, third time through, even the adults. No one will tell but the dogs. All right. My puppy's looking at me like, dude, you're stealing my game. Yeah, see? He's like, I don't know about that. Oh, am I allowed him? Is that okay? All right, check those wrists out. See how they feel. There's our begging dog. Last one, since we're kind of in the things in the category of things that feel good but make us feel silly, which could be its own whole category of yoga. Lion's breath. So let's take a big inhale in. And on the exhale, you're going to go. I'm going to see if I can see you out there, guys. Okay, so inhale. We'll do this 2 more times. Doesn't matter how many times I do it. It's still enjoyable. Last one. No? Puppy didn't like that one either. Okay, and we'll let go of that. So we had a little bonus. So we had our begging dog. We've had our cat-cow. I know we've got a tree that we're going to get to, but for now, let's actually come back down to sit. And I'm going to actually ask you, we're going to play with our first of our little get-up moves. So what we're going to do, let's just sit with legs in front, okay? And then what I'm going to ask you to do, okay, is just allow your legs to drop to one side. So just to put it together, okay? Sitting, right? Not slumping, really sitting up. And then both knees, hello Henry, are going to drop out, okay? So the foot is going to drop kind of right by the knee. All right, we got that? So here's the move. We're going to see if Henry makes space for me. So we're there, and then flip, and we're here. Okay? And flip. Look at how the weight rotates. Good. So breathing. Exhale. And come back. Henry, you're way too close, dude. Okay. Go. And then watch. We're going to add to it. So we're going to rotate back and then lift up. Boom. I know I'm kind of coming off camera, but that's okay. And sit back with control. See how nice and light? So here's the game here is how coming up, really pressing those hips forward and coming down. Let's see if we can do one more on either side. Rotate, up, boom. Hips come up, press up, tone. Come on down. Obviously, if we've got any hinkiness in the knees, we don't need to do this. And I'm going to show you from here, you can just get right up, right? Which we don't necessarily need to do, but How's that? Okay, a little bit of play. Round 2. This one's balance, but we're going to get to our balance by way of a nice deep stretch for the bottom of our feet. Okay, our feet tend to get all crunched up because we have this bad habit of, most of us, of putting them in shoes. So there's our setup. Okay, what we're going to do now, if this gets to be too much, it's very natural for your feet to resist this and to say like, ouch, ouch, this hurts. So if it hurts, just take a break, go here, and then maybe we got to stretch to the front line of the foot. Come on back up, and we're there. Okay, and we're back. Okay, now we're going to start to add a little bit of movement and a little bit of play. So if you've got any sort of balance issue going on today, you may want to be able to hold on. So you can see I've got a bookshelf here close by, or if you had a yoga block or something like that, you can use that for a bit of support. Okay, what we're going to do now, okay, so we're here. Again, you can pad under the knees, pad under the feet, or the fronts of the heels, or fronts of your ankles if that's too much. Okay, we're simply going to take our arms forward. Okay, and it can also help to hold on to something and just lean back. Lean until your knees are almost, you can see mine are almost popping. Okay, and then come forward. Thank you, Henry. And lean back. And lean forward. Like you're going to place that block or imaginary block out. Lean back. Okay, and then pop up onto those toes again. Okay, now we're going to lean back, lift one knee, and come forward. Lean back, lift the other knee, and come forward. You can see I'm using my hands here for my arms for balance. And then ultimately, can you pop up? And then can you set back down? Okay. Now this one doesn't go out of style. This is good for the 8-year-olds, this is good for the 80-year-olds. We come up, we tuck those toes, we sit back, we get the nice big stretch, we lean, we can counterbalance, we come up. Okay? And now we're just standing on our toes. In fact, you can see you can kind of lean up. Ooh, toe stand. And down. And sashay out of that. And there we go. Okay. Let's, we're going to sit here for a moment or two. How am I doing time-wise? Okay. So, we're going to actually what I'm doing here is teaching you parts of poses. So rather than doing a full pose, which can be actually quite challenging, just from a mobility standpoint, we're going to take parts of it. And today we're going to take the arms. So, first move is to take left arm out in front of us, thumb up, okay? Then we're going to take right arm out, also thumb up, but a little bit lower, and bring it under, okay? So we've crossed our hands, okay? Then bring the right hand up so that you're looking at your own palm. Hey, palm, all right? And then maybe curl the other arm to reach for the hands. Now, if hitting that spot is too much, arm comes out, wrap, and you're hugging the best person you can hug, okay? And you're getting, again, all of that action that we had before when we were spreading our shoulder blades, boom, boom, spread, or boom, boom, inhale, elbows come up, spread the shoulder blades, exhale, bow down. Inhale, come up. Exhale, we're going to unwind. Now here's where we want to be free to flow, not like that. Okay, so it's gentle and we're out. And then we come forward, thumbs up. Okay, this time, right hand is a little bit higher than left. Come over, either into the full hug, or you can make that X. Bring the left hand up. Look at your palm. Hello, palm. Actually, that'd be address the palm. Okay. And then Roll that other arm in. Okay. Inhale, come up. Notice the tendency here for the ribs to pop. Okay. So hold them in as much as you can. Exhale. Elbows come down. Down, 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 down. Inhale, come up, 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 up. Arms release gently. Okay. So this is, this next bit is really just for curiosity. This is what I would call washing your back in the shower asana. As in, can you do it? So let's start with our right hand. Left hand can just kind of come down. And let's just explore a little bit about how far and what parts of our back we can actually touch with our right hand. So inhale, come up, and exhale, drop the hand behind the head. So I've got the arm on the same side as my ear. You can see I can get into a little bit of this. Just feel what you can feel. You might get down the back, you might not. Inhale up. Exhale, come around to the opposite side. I think you're going to get that other shoulder. Okay. And inhale up. And then turn the arm. So turn in, come around, and try to, with the back of your hand, you're scrubbing the back, the middle of your upper back. Or wherever you get to. It might be down here. Okay. Good. And release. And inhale, other arm. Exhale. Almost like you're, hey, good job, pat in the back. Okay. And come around. And now it's like your buddy's doing it. This is social isolation buddy yoga. Good job. No. Good job. And reach and come back. Good job with the back of the hand. Okay. We can even bring both hands in here. Spread the shoulder blade, or pardon me, the other shoulder blades, the front shoulder blades, we'll call them the collarbones. Okay. And then release. Arms come up in one big motion. Sweep, sweep, sweep. And exhale, come down in front and allow your head to rest if it comes down. And if it doesn't, that's okay. Just take stock for a second. Okay. And then from here, we're going to play with some target practice. Okay. So you can pick your object. I'm going to go with the object I always like to go to, this ball. Okay. So imagine here's our play. Imagine that you cannot move your hips. They have to stay set. Okay. We're going to start by placing and picking up with our right hand. So can you place up high to the right? Okay. And then come back. And then with your opposite hand, reach. And come on it. And out, right hand, opposite corner, so a little bit of a different reach. And back. And in. And now I'm kind of cheating because I can see myself in the camera, but blind, like without looking behind you, place the ball. Remember, you got to get it with the other hand, so are you going to be able to do that? And that's why I didn't pick a ball, because I just knocked it away. And back. Okay, and over. Ooh. You see it rolled away? And this side, it's easier to pick up. And back. Okay? So, in either case, what we're playing with here today, it's, again, no, like, we're taking up, these are, if you wanted the, the fancy, the Sanskrit, these are different poses like this. These are eagle arms from Garudasana, and we've got this, which is cow's face pose, different kind of cow pose, guys. We are doing yoga, but with an eye to just how we move and how we're mobile in our bodies. What does it feel like to be in our bodies and to try to get to our back or reach like this? So this is like real practical, but also just like fun and experiencing what it's like to be in your body. Okay, let's play with this. So we're going to bring our target for target practice as we come to stand. Now, how are we going to come to stand? We've got a bunch of different ways. What I'm going to throw out there to the group is, can you get up and get down And it might take you 10 seconds, or it might take you a minute or longer, okay? And this can be with assistance, okay? This can be with assistance, okay? So we can be creative. Can we get up and down 3 times, not doing it the same way, okay? So think about what that, or don't even think about it. Let's not think about it. Let's just do it. Let's practice it. So I'm gonna, okay, come here and up and boom. There's one. And then I'm gonna sit down like that. And I'm gonna cross my legs over. Now, pressing into the sides of the feet. Hello, Henry. And come up. There's number 2. And come down. Okay. The tendency, by the way, is to want to rush it if we're unsure. So in that last little down, when I was about here, I kind of went whoop, and just rushed. So try not to. Try to really feel your way through rather than, again, resisting the action. Okay? Third one, however makes sense for you, and we're going to end up standing. Boom, like that. Okay? Now, the way I've got my camera, because I didn't think we were going to be doing standing poses today, so what I'm going to show you, because this is not going to translate to the camera, so for those of you at home, if you're like standing poses, not for me today, that's cool. You can stay where you are sitting, and I'm going to show you a sitting version of tree, which I'm kind of making up on the spot here, guys. I'm rolling with the punches, but that's okay. If you want, though, you can also, here's another way up, lunge, stand up, okay? And you can be standing, and make sure you've got your target, okay? All right, so alternately, our standing pose, I'm going to come back here a little bit, is here. We're standing on our knees, okay? So we'll put our target aside just for a moment, okay? Hands come into your hips. Now, if you are actually standing on a foot, okay, then you're going to, let's make your right foot your standing foot, or for those of us that are in my position, your right knee is your standing knee, right knee and right foot, okay? And then from here, what I'm going to do is simply take my foot out and bring the heel in, okay? So I'm turning this knee away from this hip, okay? Hands come up. Inhale, arms might rise up, okay? And exhale, hands come back down into center. Scoop the knee to the front, slide it back. Good. And then we're going to make our left side. Left foot gets big. Tip up on off of the heel of your right foot, okay? Or bring your foot up and tilt out. So taking this knee and this hip point away from each other. So we're opening the hip up. And this is for sure balance. Like I'm really having to do some work to kind of hold myself up here. So this is, again, not a lesser than version of the pose. Open in reverse order this time. And release, okay? And then if you've got your target handy, okay, this is where we can play with. Now, I'm going to use myself as an example. If you're standing, okay, standing on one leg, like you would be in tree, and you reach, and you place with one hand, and you come up, and you still are balancing. And then you reach with the other hand, and you come up, okay? If you're on your knees, same deal. I'm here. Now what's cool about this is if you stack, so that you've got your toes on the ground, your heels just above, your bum resting on your heels so that your whole body is in that one line, and you can see I'm pretty stable here. Now, how far can I go? Oops. How far can I go without the hips moving? And it's there, okay? How far can I go, wrong hand, come on back, without changing my foot position, just by leaning, lean, 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 release, come back, held my breath there for a second, guys. So notice if you're breathing, inhale, Exhale, reach forward. Notice which arm is easier as well. Okay, what's your dominance? What's your pattern? Let's switch hands. And I'll reach there. And come on back. And then reach out. And notice this, the arm comes out for a little bit of support, a little bit of, if this coming out here is tipping, you're like, oh, I'm gonna lose it. Think of it this way, this line of your body is center, so anytime you bring weight forward, can you bring some weight backward? So if I'm going to switch it up a little bit, lean, 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 that is much easier than this, where I'm gonna collapse, okay? We're there, and we're there, and we're done. Okay. Let's come back down. Final pose, or series of poses. If you've got your blanket or, towel or a strap. Why this one today? Well, if we're working with the theme, or working from the theme of exploring the difference between feeling intensity and struggle and stress on the one hand, and on the other it's like just freely flowing. This pose where we move through our hips and stretch out the backs of our legs, it is one where it's almost like you can just see people like they're gonna just and pull their heel right down into their hip socket. You can actually see in some cases like the muscles of the neck working, and the arms and so on. Let's let go of that, okay? We're actually gonna start in the seated position. And so I'll do it first with a strap, okay? Imagine that your foot is a horse. We're going with our cat, cow, eagle, dog, everything, all the animals in the wild kingdom today, okay? So our horse foot, all right? These are the reins. Cross the reins over, roll them into your hand. And then what I'm gonna try not to do, give you this way, see how this will work on camera, sorry. Okay, we're here. What we're not gonna do, if you check out my back, is this. And drop into the back. Instead, back stays where it is, and let's make this move all about the front of the hip and the leg, not about leaning to compensate. So we've just played with leaning as a way of supporting our movement. This time, we're taking the lean away on purpose to bring integrity to this movement, okay? So, we're here, we have our horse, we cross the reins, we roll them up, we lean a little bit forward to accentuate that back, okay? Not curling, but leaning into the hips, back neutral, and then not pulling the leg, press the leg into the strap and bring it up. Now I'll show you here just to exaggerate. If I lean, okay, if I come into a neutral position, that's it. This, I'm feeling a lot more than this, okay? So let's try that on the other side. By the way, this isn't just a demo. I like this. I've been doing this recently before going onto my back, just as a way of kind of limbering up the leg and saying hello, okay? So we're here. You've got your reins. You've got your horse. Lean, not lean. Lean and inhale. And down. Let's do it one more time. So if I let this go, right? This is actually a lot more work, by the way. You're going to say, oh my gosh, I wanted the bath towel. Okay, and we're down. And then before we come to our back for the release of the backs of our legs, let's wrap both feet. Now be careful here with our lean. Okay? You are going to have to, because the legs, if they come up at all, and it might be an inch or it might be a foot, whatever, you're going to have to lean back and lean away to make this work. So, lean. And now, the reins on my horse, I'm controlling. So this is like an assisted boat pose. So the shape that I'm in right now, for some people, might not be all that accessible, or we can even come here. And yet, when we bring some reins onto these horses, and you fall out. it all of a sudden becomes accessible. Okay, so look and see how this too becomes a way of balancing with our body. The fulcrum right here, half the weight, and we'll come to our backs. Okay, let's unwrap one foot. Again, as always, just a reminder, if you want the stretch primarily in the belly of the hamstring, bring the strap down low on the foot. If you would like it, it's cocktail hour in Yoga House. I just saw Kava. All right. Sorry, I'm commenting on the yoga studio that I find myself in. Okay. So let's bring your left foot, toes pointing up. And I was saying that if you're on the heel, belly of the hamstring, if you come up near the toes, you'll get the stretch more up into the lower leg. By the way, we want to keep our low back a little bit, just the normal curve of the back. Okay, so you're not accentuating it, like arching your back away from the ground like I am now. Come in, but you're not pressing it either like that. Okay, finding balance. And we're there. And now ride your horse. You've got the reins, but you're letting it ride. You're flowing with it. You're not, okay? Breathe. Relax. Okay. Let's take 3 more breaths here. If you've kind of rolled out to the side, just tighten up the supporting leg. Good. And then from here, let's release the strap or the towel if we've got it and just bring the other leg up to match. Okay, can you bring your hips a little bit off of the floor? Get a little core. Maybe the shoulders come up. 3, 2, 1. And opposite foot comes back down. Settle your reins. Press the foot up, not pulling it down. How much ease can we build into this pose? 3 breaths. Last one. Often when we're moving our bodies, whether it's yoga or any of the other, like you're at the gym, any sort of movement modality, we tend to say on the last pass, you'll often hear coaches or teachers say, make this your best one. What I'd say is, can you make it your most chill? Can you make it your most imperfectly relaxed? Okay. By the way, and I think time-wise, I gotta just check our time. We're gonna come into our resting pose. Oh my goodness, yes we are, time-wise. But for the guys, especially at home, here's where you could play. We were playing with reaching with the arms, which we haven't gotten to today, but maybe in a subsequent class, is we could have been playing with our legs, okay? In the sense of moving around in space with our legs, but coming to a mat near you in the future. Okay. Can you find, not Shavasana necessarily, it might be Shavasana, but can you find a resting pose? And I'm going to demo something that's not Shavasana, not because I don't think that corpse pose isn't awesome. It's the best, or it can be. But there are lots of different ways of relaxing, okay? For more than 1 year, when I was first starting to practice yoga, I would be very, very uncomfortable in Shavasana. I would, basically, it did not feel, it felt yucky. It felt hard to be quiet and lay like that. So it was the opposite of relaxation. And had I been a little bit more kind of in on the yoga joke, I would have done something a little bit differently. So if lying back and repose works for you, awesome, bring that on now. If it doesn't, it could be here. I'm going to give you two options. Here's one. Supported seat. And you're there, relaxing. Option two, this is a really nice one, is legs up the wall pose. I'm going to try to do this without kicking feet off the wall. So you're going to just scoot your hips to the side and then come onto your back and legs go up the wall. Whatever position you find yourself in. Favor yourself with the non-effort, with relaxation. From here, we'll come out of the pose. We'll come back up to sit. So I said at the start of this, it felt like one of those days where everything was going sideways. I think it was more, I was picking up, literally I was picking up Henry the dog's energy. He was all out of sorts. I'm looking now, you can't see him, but he's all chilled out. I hope you are too. Henry, you totally blew it, dude. I was just signing off and saying how excited we all are. Or excited. Excited is more like it. Relaxed we all are. Okay. What I'm wishing for you and for all of you is peace inside. And what I'm wishing for all of us in these tough times, but all the time, is peace outside. So, peace in, peace out. Be well, everyone. Be well, Henry the dog. Oh, thank you, buddy. Okay, and there it is. That's our practice for the day. Any questions, any comments, anything at all? I'm going to just wave goodbye to the interweb. Be well, everybody.